They called it a miracle drug, an invention praised as something that could change modern medicine forever. It promised to cure every disease, from chronic pain to late-stage cancer. News outlets called it a miracle, and doctors hailed it as a gift of science. But just a few weeks later, that hope turned into a nightmare. The first people who took the drug began to collapse. Their skin changed color, and their internal organs seemed to be melting. Comment if you believe there is no such thing as a free miracle in medicine. In 1989, a small pharmaceutical company in the Midwest United States announced an invention said to have the potential to change the entire field of medicine, an experimental painkiller called Compound X23. According to them, X23 not only helped heal wounds faster, but also had the ability to regenerate damaged cells and even revive dead tissue. The news spread like wildfire. Major newspapers called it the golden breakthrough of the century in medicine. Many hospitals across the United States eagerly requested to participate in the trials. Doctors spoke in front of cameras praising X23 as a scientific miracle never seen before. They believed humanity was about to enter an era where pain and cancer would be things of the past. But behind all the glamorous promotion was a chilling truth. Most of the data on X23 had never been published. Animal trials were shortened or skipped entirely under the excuse that the results exceeded expectations. No one knew exactly how this compound affected the human body. Researchers in the laboratory had noticed abnormal signs and cellular reactions, but their warnings were ignored. The company's executives only cared about releasing the drug to the market as soon as possible. They believed that if X23 succeeded, it would bring billions of dollars in revenue and immortal fame. So, a reckless decision was signed. The project officially entered the human testing phase, and the first 10 volunteers were selected. None of them knew that just a few days later, their bodies would become living proof of one of the most horrifying medical disasters in history. The first human trial took place quietly in the basement of St. Raymond's Hospital, a place already known for its controversial medical experiments. The head of the project was Dr. Ellis Carter, a talented but deeply ambitious man, famous for his willingness to cross any ethical boundary if it brought him closer to scientific glory. 10 volunteers were chosen, 10 people carrying the hope of healing and the desire to contribute to medicine. They didn't know they were about to become part of a tragedy. In the first 24 hours, everything went perfectly, almost suspiciously so. Those who received the injection felt better than ever. The pain disappeared, wounds healed rapidly, and some even said their skin looked younger. Reports recorded it as a miraculous recovery effect, and Dr. Carter believed he was about to make history. But then, the first screams echoed through the night. One patient shouted in agony as a burning sensation spread through their body. The pain was unlike anything they had ever felt, as if acid was flowing through their veins. Dr. Carter insisted it was only a temporary side effect and ordered a second dose to stabilize the reaction. But immediately after that, one patient vomited blood, along with fragments of decomposed liver tissue. The lab descended into chaos. Medical staff tried to save the patient, but their bodies were disintegrating by the hour. The smell of chemicals, the stench of blood, and the sound of screaming blended together, marking the beginning of a medical nightmare that could not be stopped. 3 days after the first injections were administered, 8 out of 10 volunteers were dead. The doctors, who initially believed it was only a temporary side effect, now stood frozen before the autopsy results. Inside their bodies, there were no intact organs left. The liver, kidneys, and heart all had liquefied. Body tissues disintegrated, sliding out like a layer of biological sludge. There were no signs of infection, nor any immune response. The body seemed to be self-decomposing from within, through a mechanism never before recorded in medical history. Under the microscope, the research team discovered something horrifying. Compound X23 stimulated the acceleration of cellular enzymes at an uncontrollable rate. These enzymes began breaking down protein structures, turning living tissue into liquid within hours. The human body had essentially dissolved itself. The project quickly became a nightmare. Dr. Ellis Carter, the head of the research team, panicked. He demanded that the trials be stopped, but the sponsoring company ordered them to continue. They claimed that these results have enormous scientific value. Carter objected, but all the data had already been locked within the security system. The bodies were taken away, and no one knew where they were disposed of. Meanwhile, the media continued to praise X23 as a great medical breakthrough. In the darkness of the laboratory, Carter sat staring at the images of melting organs on the screen. He realized they had created something far beyond their control, no longer a drug, but a form of biological destruction disguised as medicine. When news of the deaths began to spread, several medical staff members tried to report the incident to the Federal Health Agency. But just a few days later, all information about Project X23 was withdrawn and sealed. The government declared it a part of a top-secret defense project. All documents, test samples, and biological data were transferred overnight under the supervision of federal agents. No one was allowed to ask, and no one was allowed to mention it again. A rumor began to circulate within the scientific community. X23 was not just a drug, it was a biological weapon being developed in secret. Early trials showed that even a minuscule amount could cause the human body to self-decompose without leaving a trace. If misused, the consequences would surpass any medical catastrophe ever recorded. Dr. Ellis Carter, who once led the project, began to oppose the continuation of the research. He tried to expose what had happened at St. Raymond's Hospital, but was stopped. A few weeks later, Carter was found dead in his car, with the official cause listed as carbon monoxide poisoning. However, many colleagues believed it was not suicide. Some who had worked with him also disappeared without a trace. Shortly after, the hospital where the experiment took place was completely destroyed in a mysterious fire. The blaze began in the basement, the place where X23's blood samples, tissues, and equipment were stored. When the smoke cleared, all evidence was gone. The project was erased from government records as if it had never existed. But in the shadows, those who knew the truth understood that X23 was not destroyed. It was merely hidden, waiting to be reborn. 30 years had passed since the name X23 disappeared from all medical records. People believed that the project had been buried forever. But in 2019, a leaked patent on an international scientific network reignited old fears. In it appeared a new compound called BioRegen X. Experts immediately recognized it. Its chemical formula was identical to X23, every atom, every enzyme chain. The company behind it claimed this was an improved, safer version designed to regenerate tissue and heal damaged organs. Laboratories in Europe and Asia were quickly granted permission to conduct trials. Once again, the media praised it as a leap forward in modern medicine. But only a few months later, strange reports began to surface. Patients injected with BioRegen X complained of a burning sensation inside, as if fire were consuming their organs. Many died within days, with no specific cause found. During autopsies, their internal organs had liquefied, as if corroded from the inside out. Doctors were horrified. Internal reports described the phenomenon as exactly the same as the X23 tragedy 30 years earlier. Yet, instead of stopping, the company issued a press release claiming that these reactions are isolated cases. They changed the drug's name, moved the manufacturing facility to another country, and continued distributing it under the label of expanded clinical trials. In the pharmaceutical world, whispers began to spread that X23 had never been destroyed. It was merely disguised under a new shell, a new name, and an old promise to heal everything. But this time, the price to pay could be far more terrifying than before. And so, the story of the miraculous drug known as X23, or BioRegion-X, comes to an end. But the nightmare it left behind has never truly disappeared. In the history of medicine, there has never been an invention so passionately embraced, only to be buried in darkness so quickly. People believed they held a miracle in their hands, but they had unknowingly opened the door to a biological hell, where the human body decayed from within, while those behind it remained silent and called it a laboratory accident. Each time a new drug is announced, the same promises echo once more: safe, effective, groundbreaking. But behind the dazzling advertisements and polished statistics, there is always a hidden truth. The question is, how many lives were sacrificed to create the next medical breakthrough? And how many more times will humanity repeat the same mistake simply because we believe too much in the promise of perfect healing? The story of X23 is not just a medical disaster. It is a warning to all of us. Because in the world of medicine and experimentation, every advancement has a dark side. Some things should be tested, but some should never have existed. If you're watching this video, ask yourself, is the miracle you're hoping for truly harmless? Or is it just a trap wrapped in scientific language? Leave a comment below if you believe some medical truths must be revealed. Right? The truth must be told, because it is our silence that allows these dark secrets to continue to exist. And don't forget to subscribe to the Dr. Secret Files. Every week we open another classified file from the dark side of medicine. Hidden stories, unethical experiments, and truths no one dares to mention. Because sometimes the cure is the poison. And some things, though born in the name of saving lives, only bring death.